Hey guys, welcome back. Robocraft early access coverage. This is episode 109. I'm Enigmius, and today we're finishing off the updated Pretty Hate Machine. We're taking a look at the placement of the guns and basically reworking them so that we can provide a little bit of height difference between the ones in the back and the ones in the front, so that we have less chance in certain circumstances of shooting into the back of our guns. We're not going the full bore gun mount like we've done in the past, where we have sort of basically an independent circuit of prisms, so to speak, from the block that the gun sits on extending down into the chassis somewhere, and then a completely different group of prisms around that protect it from damage and of course keep it connected to the bot. Again, in this case, we don't necessarily need it. We're going to be able to provide some armoring around the mount in the back, which are going to be the largest mounts and the ones most prone to being destroyed before the gun is. But beyond that, it's, you know, if you look at the bot and the way it's set up, and if you look at the guns, the way they sit on the chassis, either we're going to be losing the guns to direct fire, in which case the gun's going to be gone and we're going to be transferring a little bit of damage into the chassis through the anti-gunbrella mechanic, or we're going to be losing the guns to incidental fire from the side, which is probably going to peel right the way through a mounting shroud anyways. So we can look at it and say, yeah, there might be a benefit in doing a full mount shroud and then having the mount independent from that and kind of going into the chassis and connecting. We can keep it simple and recognize that in the new meta, in the MOBA battle mode, by the time you get around to the point where things are overclocking and the enemy in particular is overclocking and everything is kind of ramping up in offensive potential, these minor little benefits that you might consider for a bot that would function well in a tier 10 classic match don't really translate into anything meaningful, because it's all going to get blown off quick and easy anyways. So in our case, we're not looking at squeezing that little extra few seconds out of performance out of our bot. We're looking at trying to keep things as simple as possible, so that smaller profile, soaking damage instead of trying to route it all the way through the chassis and protecting the individual connection points like we would, and counting on respawns to do the rest. So in a sense, I would say that the whole respawn mechanic has reduced sort of the pressure, if you will, on the builder to produce a bot that's going to last for as long as it possibly can, because there are times when you've just taken a certain amount of damage and you're like, it's time for me to respawn now. give me chance number 2 to go out and unleash hell on my enemies, and then chance number 3, chance number 4. Whereas before, you only get one chance once you enter a match, and if it doesn't go very well for you, then you have to go into another match. And if it goes badly for you enough, things like getting your daily RP bonus for that particular garage bay become a real chore. So we're going to do what we can to build a fairly robust and fairly beefy bot, but at the same time, nothing that's going to drive us absolutely insane, and then find out after the fact that all of our time and effort was kind of for nothing, because that's how easy it is for things to turn out now. Now this is where we're starting to look at things like electroplates. I'm happy with what we've got going on top of the bot. I'm happy with what we've got going on underneath, by the way of prisms and armoring and all those other things. We have, in this case, some tier 8 electroplates that I'm trying to create a hard point for in a way that lets for me, it's not enough to just stick them on the bot. I kind of want them to get as close as possible to the various different components that they might be trying to protect, and then fitting as closely as possible so that there aren't so many gaps for things to splash up into. I still have this fixation with protecting from plasma splash off the ground, which is why if I'm going to be adding electroplates to a bot, especially a hover, one of the first things I'm thinking of is adding it from underneath. Not necessarily the best way to do things from a min-max spreadsheet point of view, and I'm okay with that, because it doesn't have to be. It's not that important that we need to be doing everything the absolute optimum way, because sometimes that's just no fun to build with. You can do it, And then you look back at all the time that you spent doing it, and then you look back at the benefit you get out of it, and it's like a pound of effort for an ounce of performance, and that's not really what we're into. So here you can see these are just miles away from the rest of the chassis. This is like big fat skis, not electroplates. But at least it gives us a framework or kind of a reference point for where we really want to get the hard points for this particular size and shape of electroplate in order to have it doing any kind of good. And you can see it's a little bit, well, actually a lot closer now, and about as close as you could expect to get tier 8 in that particular location to the chassis before it's going to overlap with something. So I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, that's still not, again, it's a pound of effort for an ounce of performance. Maybe we should be looking at buying some tier 10. So that's what I did, and then becomes a completely different issue to get these mounted in a location that we're happy with. Again, it's a little bit too far away. You can see down towards the back here, it's not too bad, but up towards the front where it flares out a little bit too far away from the chassis for me to feel really good about it. So again, we're gonna kind of use it as a frame of reference. It's not really working, but we at least have a better idea of where it needs to be in order to make it work. And then we can start, swapping them around and create the hard point, see if it'll fit, see what we have to do to make it fit, move the hard point, move the electroplate, all these other things. And by the time we're done, we're going to end up with 4 electroplates on the underside of the bot that are doing a fairly reasonable job of protecting it from splash damage and incidental fire on the lower half of the chassis where the thrusters are. And all that's really left for this guy is to get it into some matches, and we'll go from there. The thing that we're looking at now with the new battle mode, the MOBA mode, is longer matches, which means probably only 1 match per episode when we're doing match footage, whether it's match footage for a brand new bot or match footage for a bot that we chose to use for the sake of doing a match in. But hopefully, if I run 2, 3, maybe 4 matches, if I can play for that long in a sitting, we'll get something that we can use as a point of reference to discuss, whether it's talking about the bot's performance or talking about different game mechanics, strategies, things like that. So that's what we'll be looking at. But in the meantime, I'll let you finish watching the attachment of these last 2 electroplates. Now that we've got the big ones on, the tier 10 ones on, we're going to get the 2 tier 8 ones on. We've still got a little bit of CPU left that we can look to later on when we have a little bit of RP that we want to spend to see about maybe protecting a little bit on the front or the back. And then that'll be it. Pretty Hate Machine Mk.III. So I hope you enjoyed the build. Leave your comments and feedback. If you want to be notified when I add the next video, Robocraft or otherwise, you can always subscribe to my channel and or follow me on social media. Links for social media always in the information section below the video. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.